Kevin Williams along with Bob Batters of the Shore Sports Network, and we've sort of reached the final tournament of the 2018 boys lacrosse season. That, of course, the NJSIAA tournament, which is getting set to get underway. But Bob, before we touch on that, we have to sort of recapture the Shore Conference tournament, which, as predicted, were the two teams you thought would be in the finals. And certainly Manasquan proved that they are the #1 team in the Shore.
They certainly did. Yeah. An emphatic win for Manasquan. Manasquan and CBA have been the #1 and #2 teams in the Shore the entire season. They flip-flopped a couple weeks ago after CBA won the regular season game, but Manasquan got their revenge in the rematch, and really a thorough and complete win. I'm pretty sure everyone, at least everyone I talked to going in, figured it was going to be a close game, 1, 2, maybe 3 goals. Instead, it was Manasquan taking control right away, jumped out to a 4-0 lead, and went on to win 11-3. And, you know, again, coming into that game, you know, you hadn't seen that kind of effort from Manasquan yet. Yeah. CBA was so consistent all year, you kind of favor that. But this is the kind of game that, you know, you kind of knew Manasquan had in them all along. I mean, such great potential, so much talent, and they put it all together in those 48 minutes. And you see just how dangerous the Warriors can be with that kind of effort. You know, they can go all the way, you know, to the tournament champions. So, you know, a really good tournament for them, obviously, to repeat as Shore Conference champions. Some good semifinal games, too. Well, you had Manasquan shutting out Southern 12-0, which wasn't a great game, but impressive to shut a team out in lacrosse and a good team like Southern. And CBA had to, you know, come back and rally to beat Rumson. You know, Rumson, we've talked about many times, a young team, a really brutal schedule, but they've gotten better as the season has gone on, and that wasn't a team anyone was looking forward to facing in the Shore Conference tournament. CBA was down 7-6 in the second half, scored 8 straight goals to take control and won 14-8. So it was a good tournament as far as that went, some upsets along the way, but at the end of the day, one of the two teams we figured would be standing at the top was, and that's Manasquan.
And certainly their top player also achieved some noteworthy individual honors along the way.
He has. Ever since the first week of the season, you can see what kind of pace Manasquan junior attackman Canyon Birch was off to. You know, there's no secret about him. He led the Shore in points last season. Tremendous player. One of the best in the state, going off to Army West Point once he's done here in high school. But he set the Shore Conference single-season record for goals, scoring 6 in that semifinal win over Southern. That gave him 98, which is an insane number. Past Southern Dylan Jinks, who had 93 in 2014. Canyon added 2 goals in the Shore Conference tournament final to give him an even 100 goals on the year, which is crazy. You know, the Shore Conference record is 100 now. The state record, 129 goals. That was set by A.L. Johnson's Matt Posque, 2001. Posque is the leader in career goals and points in New Jersey, so no surprise. But what's crazy is you think about Manasquan should go deep into the playoffs, certainly at least to a sectional final. You know, maybe, you know, even deeper than that. And the way he's been scoring goals, it's not out of the question he can actually break that, which is really mind-boggling. 100 goals is crazy to even think he can approach and eclipse 129. Really is, it's hard to believe, but he's right there. He's that good.
So the Shore Conference tournament is history, and now we turn our attention to what some will tell you is the ultimate, is to want to win a state championship, a sectional title, or an overall title. Those are clearly the two best teams in the Shore, so how do they project in the state tournament?
Well, Manasquan, the #1 seed in South Jersey Group 1, and they are definitely the favorite there. The Warriors have been to the final each of the last 2 seasons. They won in 2016, lost a close game to Rumson last season. Those 2 teams are in different brackets now. Manasquan dropped down from Group 2 to Group 1. Rumson's in Group 2. So Manasquan, certainly the class of that bracket there, as long as they take care of business. You know, they're the heavy favorite as the #5 team in the state. They should be moving on. CBA, again, an excellent team, but you're talking about the non-public A bracket, which has the likes of Del Barton, which is the #1 team in the state, Seton Hall Prep, which is the number two, now #3 team in the state, and CBA is right there, along with some other good programs. So, you know, that's a tough hill to climb. You know, CBA last season, as a team that was 10-8, a solid team, but nowhere near this season's team, almost stunned Del Barton, lost by 1 goal, and Del Barton went on to win the tournament champions. So you never say never. It's going to be a tough road, but CBA has shown how good they can be when they're on their game. So that's going to be fun to see how far they can go in that non-public A bracket.
It's almost like a situation you had with Red Bank Catholic in football a couple of years ago. The bar is so high in that non-public, you can be really good, the best team in the Shore, and not advance far in that tournament just because of who you're playing.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And the one thing about the boys lacrosse state tournament, there isn't as many teams. So when you're comparing to a sport like football we're talking about, or even most others, there is not as many brackets. There's no North 1, North 2,
right,
or even Central. There's North Jersey and there's South Jersey for the publics, and there's non-public A, not even separated by groups. So everyone is in there. So it's hard. It's very hard to win a group title in the instance of the non-public. So you have to go through a ton of really good teams, but CBA's put themselves in good position. They're the number 3 seed, so they shouldn't face one of the upper echelon teams until that semifinal round.
So you have Manasquan and CBA, and I don't want to say end the rest, but who else from the Shore has a legitimate shot to at least cause damage, or maybe in your mind get to a sectional final or something like that?
Well, certainly Rumson Fairhaven. The Bulldogs are the defending champion in South Jersey Group 2. They're the number 2 seed. And there's some good teams in that bracket, but they have the pedigree there. Ocean City, I believe, is the number 1 seed. And Rumson, again, for all their youth and their inexperience, at this point in the season, you can't really say they're inexperienced anymore. We're right there at the end of the year, and this is a talented team. So it would not surprise me at all to see Rumson win another sectional title and find themselves playing for a group championship. And in that same bracket, you have Wall, which is the number 3 seed. And Wall, lost to Rumson close in the Shore Conference Tournament quarterfinals, 10-9. Wall's never made a sectional final. A little bit light on history, but this is a senior-laden team, and they'd love nothing more to see Rumson once again in the semifinals with a chance to go to a sectional final. So that should be an interesting bracket. I think Rumson's the favorite still as a 2 seed, but Wall can make a run as a quote-unquote dark horse.
All right, so you've given us a couple teams. Anyone else in the Shore Conference who maybe wouldn't be favored, but could make a deep run or at least pull off a couple of wins on their way?
Well, you talk about teams that are usually there. In South Jersey Group 4, you have Southern, which is the number 5 seed, Freehold Township, which is the number 7 seed. I wouldn't be surprised to see those two teams win their first round games. Southern has a tough one against Howell. Freehold Township plays Washington Township, but that's a loaded bracket. You have Lenape, which was undefeated until just last week when they lost to rival Shawnee. They're the number 1 seed, the big favorite. Cherokee's the number 2 seed, which Freehold Township would run into in the second round. So very tough bracket. For them, those teams to make a run, you have to see several upsets there. And really the same thing with the rest of the Shore. If any team were to make a big run, it would go against everything we saw during the regular season. And that would really be the talk of the state. You'd be talking about upset after upset against some of the top teams. So when we get to this point in the season, because there aren't that many state brackets, it's really our top 3, 4, 5 teams, and you see the rest of the Shore start getting picked off pretty quick.
And that is the difference between this and some of the other state tournaments, is the fact that you have all these power-packed teams in 1 or 2 or 3 brackets. It's not like in football where it's so diluted at times. You get teams in with losing records that aren't any good. These are all pretty good teams, especially at the top of the heap.
Absolutely. And a lot of these brackets, again, we have North Jersey groups 1 through 4 and South Jersey groups 1 through 4 for the publics. And non-public is just A and B. They're not separated by groups there. So in a lot of these brackets, you have multiple state top 20 teams in there to get through. And as we said, in some of the other sports, you're not looking at that. If you have one other ranked team, sometimes that's a big deal. In this one, you got to really run the gauntlet to win a state title, which is nice because you get to that point for a sectional title and you really have earned it.
Manasquan, CBA, Rumson, they've sort of been the Shore's lead all season long. We'll see how they do in the state tournament. Of course, you can follow the lacrosse tournament throughout its run, which begins this week, by visiting Bob at shoresportsnetwork.com. He'll be out there each and every day throughout the tournament. Hopefully we'll have a champion or two. It'd be nice to see someone hoist that plaque when it's all over. For the Shore Sports Network and Bob Batters, I'm Kevin Williams. Keep it tuned to us throughout the lacrosse season.